So hello, everyone, and welcome to this mid-September Thursday night talk at Mountain Cloud. It's good to sit together across time and space. And yet, right here in this turning season, we're falling into fall, a time of lengthening darkness, a time that more nearly matches the darkness of this aching, breaking world. I've been reminded lately in the changing light of a poem by a 17th century Chinese monk named Yin Yuan Longqi. You might recognize it. It's one that comes up from time to time. Just 4 lines. You can't light a lamp. There's no oil in the house. It's a shame to want a light. I have a way to bless this poverty. Just feel your way along the wall. Last week, I sent this poem to a student, a longtime practitioner who had back surgery and can't sit in any position for long. How to bless the poverty. She's been walking, lots of slow, absorbed walking. The week before, I sent links to several translations of Dogen's Fukan Zazengi, or Universal Recommendations on Zazen. We spoke of the line, take the backward step and shine the light inward. Or in another translation, learn the backward step that turns your light inward to illuminate yourself. Walking as she was, this line came to mind. She stopped and took one step back and burst into tears. What space opened? Was it this broken world? The inexhaustible clearing? What is that step? I do a lot of indoor kinhin, or walking. Ever since moving back home with the lockdown, I walk an indoor circle in our house, slowly, clockwise, about 5 minutes every hour that it's possible. Some months ago, I was walking in the evening, a little later than usual. And there was my partner, Scott, sitting outside on our small side patio, guitar in hand, singing to the fish who lives in the pond. This goldfish came to us from Scott's son and family when they moved to a new home that didn't have a pond. The fish, named Mr. Fish years ago by Scott's then preschool granddaughter, The fish was listening intently, facing Scott, head above water, like a serenade received and returned in the hearing. It turns out fish have ears, not on the outside like us, but inside. Bones that absorb and interpret sound and help with balance. Scott sang to fish, that's the short name, sang to fish about fish, a new song, original song. And fish, Mr. Fish, seemed beguiled by his song. Or maybe her, we don't know. Walking, I saw this scene and paused, stepping back to allow it room, shifting my focus to let it just inhabit the space. It was beautiful, beyond naming. Fish and Scott, pond and singing. One broken open heart. One backward step. Empty, immersed. What is that step? Tonight, I'd like to take up a koan about a fish and the net of concepts and assumptions that tells us what is and is not possible. That net. This is case 33 in the Book of Equanimity. It also is included in the Blue Cliff Record, case 49. It's called Sansho's Golden Scales. Here's the case. Sansho asked Seppo, when a fish with golden scales has passed through the net, what should it get for food? Seppo said, I will tell you when you have passed through the net. Sansho said, a great Zen master with 1,500 disciples doesn't know how to speak. Seppo said, the old monk is just too busy with temple affairs. End of case. This is a Dharma dialogue, sometimes called Dharma combat, old term, between two adepts. Neither one of them misses a beat, and nothing is extra. Sansho, the younger, by some decades, is on pilgrimage sometime after the death of his master Rinzai. There's another case in the Book of Equanimity or Book of Serenity that records this scene of the death of Rinzai. And Sansho is there at his master's bedside. Rinzai, it seems in the throes of death, calls out, who will carry on my Dharma? He's worried, he's anxious. And Sansho just yells, Kas! That's Rinzai's Dharma. That's his stick. And Sancho uses it to wipe away all concepts, including the concept of Rinzai's Dharma. Zen is always overturning, subverting whatever we may think is fixed. Another way of reading that kas is, what are you doing hanging on to this Dharma? When you're dying, just die. That's Sansho. Seppo, a close Dharma brother of Ganto and disciple of Toksan, after a long effort, long path, he became a renowned master monastery with 1,500 monks. Unman and Gensha were among his Dharma heirs. In this case 33, Seppo is a seasoned master, thought to be in his mid-80s, toward the end of his life. Sancho comes to challenge the great Seppo as a way of checking, maybe checking them both, and to clarify his own eye. His challenge, Sancho's challenge, comes in the form of this question. When a fish with golden scales has passed through the net, what should it get for food? This great golden fish. Sancho is talking about himself. Master, I have completely passed through the net of concepts, the grid we're caught in. What will you say to me? How will you teach? Net, scales, head and tail, body, mind, all fallen away. No one here to eat anything. What will you feed me? Seppo's response matches the question perfectly. I will tell you when you have passed through the net. Is it really possible to pass through? Lately, Henry has been taking us into the gateless gate or barrierless barrier, the Mumangkan. The gate, barrier, or net that is nothing but a phantom of our perspective. If you're sitting with Mu, Mu may seem like a barrier. But where is the barrier when there's nothing that is not Mu? The invitation or instruction to let Mu pervade. Let there be nothing but Mu. Let Mu occupy everything. It's helpful because it's true. Whatever we may pick up, there it is. All of it. So, what about this net? What about the entangling vines that make us feel trapped in our thinking, our rubric of assumptions and habituated views, our story? What if the fish, the net, the food, what if it's all one reality, one whole, one boundless dynamism? Now this, now that. No space to draw a line. Draw a line and that's it. What if there's nothing to hinder anything? As the Heart Sutra puts it, no hindrance of mind, therefore no fear. You cannot pass through anything. Wherever you turn, it's you, your whole body. For Joshu, it's Mu. For Gensha, it's one bright pearl. For Unmun, Kanshiketsu, a bathroom implement, or Kayakuren, a flowering hedge, or complete exposure of the golden wind. A fall breeze, everything exposed. Just that. Just this. For Seppo, in this case, it's, I will tell you when you have passed through the net. Last week, Henry took up the exchange between a monk and Joshu in case 7 at the Gateless Gate. The monk comes asking, Master, I have just entered this monastery. Please give me instructions. Joshu asks, have you eaten your rice gruel yet? The monk says, yes, I have. Joshu says, then wash your bowls. Henry brought this to life, lavishly feeding us, inviting us to taste the bare fact. Wash your bowls. Then wash your bowls. Seppo's response has a different character, unique to the situation, but he is intimately conveying the same world. I will tell you when you have passed through the net. He could be saying to Sancho, not yet, still a trace, or impossible to pass through. There are not two. Whatever meaning we may assign, fine, but it's secondary. I will tell you when you have passed through the net. Seppo is offering the food, showing eating, showing the whole of the matter. I will tell you when you have passed through the net. Sancho must have seen this. He shows his appreciation with another challenge. A great Zen master with 1,500 disciples doesn't know how to speak. There it is again. One reality, all of it. This strange and lively world of koans. Sansho and Seppo sparring on our behalf, wielding their swords, their world. More than 1,100 years ago, and absolutely current. It's for us, and it is us. No wonder the koans begin again and again with a word that is often left out in translation, as if it were just punctuation. Presenting. And then comes the case. Presenting. And then each of those cases I mentioned. Mu, one bright pearl, kanshiketsu, kayakuren, complete exposure of the golden wind. Presenting. Seppo's response. The old monk is just too busy with temple affairs. Sorry, I'm busy. That's it. All of it. There's the food. One living taste of it. Again, whatever you pick up. And we're completely nourished. Are and have been all along. This old monk. This old monk is busy with temple affairs. I'm reminded of Seppo's master, Toksan, fierce in his youth, exacting with his stick and teaching. Then Toksan ages into an old man of warmth, humility, no edges, no resistance, nothing to defend. In one koan, we see him wandering with his bowls before the mealtime bell, chastened, chastised by the then young and unrealized Seppo. And Toksan just turns and totters back to his room like a meandering stream. In another case, the elderly Toksan is asked by his attendant, where did the holy ones of the past go? Or where are all the saints of old? Toksan answers, what? Did you catch it? Can he just not hear? Or are they right here? What? The attendant makes a disparaging comment. Toksan is silent. The next day, the attendant serves his master tea, and Toksan gently pats his shoulder. Kaku, the attendant, says, "Old man, at last you're beginning to see." The case ends with the line, "Toksan again remained silent." That case, with its little vignette, its scene, is one of Ruben Habito's favorite koans. I remember meeting him with this and his saying, "I just hope I can be like Toksan in my old age." I'm too busy. Wash your bowls. Silence. Pointing to the matter at hand. Pointing to us. Pointing to what this is right here. Yamada Rion Roshi points to it clearly in his commentary on the last line of the verse, this verse by Master Wanshi to case 33. The line praises Seppo, but it's about us, each one of us. Here's that last line. He stands alone, never to be moved by the 8 winds blowing. We've been hearing about these 8 winds at Mountain Cloud. Rion Roshi writes, "The 8 winds refer to praise and blame, gain and loss, life and death, pain and pleasure, being born, growing old, getting sick, dying. In experiencing these, our minds sway to and fro. No matter what kind of wind may blow, Seppo's mind is not to be swayed. How much the wind may keep blowing, it is not in the least perturbed." I'm reading this commentary and he's speaking of Seppo's mind. However much the wind may keep blowing, it is not in the least perturbed. He could be speaking about the wind. He goes on, "It is like the moon that shines and glows in all brilliance." And then he adds, "Such a way of interpreting this is not bad at all. However, if you press the point further and ask, what are the 8 winds? You will realize that the 8 winds themselves are no other than your very own true self. Other than the 8 winds, there is no such thing as one's own self that exists. Since the wind and the self are one, right from the beginning, there is no such thing as being swayed by the wind. The wind cannot be swayed by the wind. It's so intimate. Roshi goes on, praising is wind, being praised and rejoicing is wind, being insulted and feeling bad is wind, experiencing praise and blame is wind, responding to praise and blame is wind, gain and loss, being born and dying, experiencing pain and pleasure. This is all wind, just wind. Just wind. What a wondrous wind. Nothing to pass through. It's already here. Boundless, whole, and at the same time, unique and unrepeatable. Last week, Henry spoke about practice with no destination. This practice, nowhere to go, nothing to gain. Put another way, the destination is here. No wonder this practice is so often called coming home. Already here. Intimately here. Our practice is an expression of it. So I'd like to close with a teaching from Yamada Kon Roshi. Kon Roshi, who gave his son the name Rion, surpassing cloud. Here is Kon Roshi. If we attempt in our practice of mu to chase after mu as if to catch it, mu will elude us constantly. Why? Because the one who is attempting to grasp mu is mu itself. It's like your own shadow. As long as you run after it, it will always elude you. But stand quite still, and your shadow is right at your feet. When a fish with golden scales has passed through the net, what should it get for food? When you take the backward step and illuminate the self, take the backward step and shine the light inward. Is there anything outside it? So with thanks to these masters, to this wellspring that's coming up right here, let us hear this in the shadowless intimacy of our own sitting and be fed. Thank you for listening. Thank you for this shared practice.